Today I fucked up by meeting up with an online friend for the first time and getting high. I am sorry for any spelling mistakes or grammar issues, I'm doing this on my phone. And #X200B. So this didn't happen today but happened last night. For some backstory, I met this guy online about 2 months ago. He was a friend of a friend from college that I met online in my college friend's Discord server. We would game together and generally have a good time. So this week I had to go on a work trip from Monday to Wednesday. I realized that the city I was going to for the trip was in the same town where this guy lived. I contacted him on Discord to let him know I was in town and that we had made plans to hang out on Tuesday night since it would be my last night in the area. Tuesday came around and we finalized the rest of the plans. What we were going to do that night, where, and when. You know, the whole spiel. We decided that after I finish work he was going to pick me up, get some food, buy some weed, and just chill playing Switch games for the rest of the night. He picked me up at the hotel after work around 5:30 p.m. and we went to get some food. I was trying my absolute best to hold a conversation with him since I could feel that he felt a little awkward. No big deal. After we went to get the food we headed to the weed store. On the way there however he asked some questions like, "How much does it dank?" I told him we could just smoke the joints outside so none of the smell would get into the house. He insisted on smoking in the garage and said, "I'll just bring some Febreze." Since he was asking so many questions, I assumed he really didn't smoke weed often. I asked if his parents were okay with smoking and that I didn't really feel like doing it anyway, so if he didn't want to it would be no big deal. He replied, "She knows, yeah. She knows." I would like to mention that where I live weed is legal and at least from what I've noticed not a lot of people think it's a big deal. I bought the joints, headed back to the car and put them in cup holder and he took them and put them into the middle island compartment of the car. I asked him why. He said, "Just so people don't see it." I should mention we are 20, and I at least don't have to sneak around my parents, but I was having the impression that he was. Again I told him that if he doesn't want to it's fine because I'm not really feeling it either. He said he wanted to. We get to his house. I say hi to his mom. We go into the basement and we start eating and watching some YouTube. Everything in my POV is going fine, odd but fine. I'm enjoying his company and having a nice night. We finish eating, we got upstairs into his garage and lit up the joints. He brought the Febreze. Every time I would have a drag he would spray the Febreze at me. I didn't say anything but part of me was like, WTF? Half a joint later and I'm tired of getting sprayed so I put out the joint and put it back in the container, and he does the same. Before we head back inside his house he makes me close my eyes and spread my arms so he can spray me with the Febreze from head to toe. He even put some in my afro. Trying to be a good guest I go along with it. Being back downstairs, we play Smash Bros on my Switch. He asks me if he can have half of the joints and I have the other half to it's fair, as he put it. Again I didn't say anything but was like, "How is that fair?" I bought them, I said, "Sure," and we kept playing. During our time playing I was still trying my best to talk to him. I would say things like, "Oh man your combo is nasty," and he would reply by basically sassing me back with, "You can play whoever you want to, I'll play whoever I want to." Every time I would say something he would reply with that same, STFU, attitude. It was the complete opposite of how he was before we smoked. I thought maybe half a joint might have been too much for him so I just blamed it on the weed. About 20 minutes go by and I'm baked as fuck and feeling insulted by the constant rudeness. I asked him if I could have the Wi-Fi password so that I could re-download the DLC I had on Smash Bros. He said that he would just hotspot me instead. The only problem was that the hotspot password he had was like $4,333,483_9 less than 887. Being so high I wasn't able to get the password in after 10 minutes of trying. He was getting visibly angry with me so I just said, "It's fine I don't really need it," and we kept playing. I asked him why I couldn't connect to the Wi-Fi and told me to not worry about it. About 10 minutes later he says, "You should leave in like 10 minutes. This completely blindsided me. I assumed that we were going to hang out until I was sober enough to get myself to the hotel safely and he didn't tell me otherwise. He just started packing up my Switch not even a minute after he told me to leave and handed it to me and said, "Let's go." So here I got out of his room and went to a different part of the basement where the cell reception was better. My data is really bad to begin with and I wasn't able to connect to the Uber app. I tell him that I might need him to hotspot my phone so I can order my ride. He gets angrier that I said that and goes, "Well, can't you call someone to come get you? Let me remind you. I'm on a work trip, in a city that I don't know, and staying at a hotel. If I had someone to call I would be staying with them." I said, "No." He got even more mad and shoved his phone at me with the long-ass complicated password. It takes me like 4 millenniums to input it, and the whole time I was doing it he would ask me if I was done and to hurry up. We go back upstairs. He just brings me to the door and goes back into the basement without saying a word. So I stand there and wait for my ride alone. My ride arrives, and I thank his mother for having me over and leaving the house. The part that really pisses me off was that I wasn't sober enough to get home safe. I accidentally ordered the Uber a block away and didn't realize it. So I was in the street pulling the handle of parked cars because I thought they might have been my Uber. I am black and 6 female 7. If anyone saw me doing that they would have probably called the police. Luckily after about 5 minutes of me going from car to car checking if they were my Uber driver saw me, drove down to where I was and asked if I was okay. I told him what happened and that I am under the influence. When we got to the hotel he walked with to my hotel room and made sure I got in okay. I gave him a huge tip DW and 5 stars. I got back to my hotel at 8 p.m. and after running around we got to his house at 6:45, meaning I was at his house for only an hour give or take. Too long did not read. Met up with a friend of a friend while on a work trip in a different city. He got pissed for some reason and kicked me out. Edit. Thank you to everyone. The kind words really made me feel better. I was unsure about the situation and worried that I did something wrong. Shit like this normally doesn't bother me, but it's been weighing heavy on my mind because I've never ever been worried about my safety up until last night. Like I'm a big guy, being high and walking around the street could have been really bad. Could have hurt myself or others, and I'm glad the Uber driver was such a great guy. All I'm trying to say is that after reading your comments I've been able to make peace. Is this dude a self-hating gay and found you handsome? Because none of this makes sense. Puff puff spray my dude, sign of the horns, light skin tone. Maybe he thought this was going to be a hookup type of thing and got irrationally angry when the scenario he made up in his head didn't play out like he thought? Either way, he acted very immature. Had those friends too. Some just can't handle weed, social interactions. Put them together and you get this guy. Wow, what a shitty guy. Today I fucked up by not being able to hide the handcuffs from my in-laws. In May my girlfriend Joanna, not her real name, and I decided to invite her parents to have lunch with us. The lunch was arranged for a Sunday and Joanna told her parents they could come over from noon. On Sunday morning we woke up around 10 a.m., we showered, got dressed, put the dishes on the table, put the food in the oven. Then we found ourselves kissing on the way to the bedroom. At this point in the story it is important to mention that at the beginning of the year I had given Joanna a pair of handcuffs for recreational purposes. They were simple handcuffs that had one feature, and that feature was, once closed they only open with a key. Going back to Sunday morning, I remember we got to the bedroom and Joanna went to get the handcuffs from her dresser drawer and asked me to handcuff her hands. I complied and she was stripped and handcuffed to the bed. Almost instantly we heard the doorbell ring. I looked at my cell phone and it was a few minutes past 11. Who could it be? My girlfriend had arranged to meet her parents at noon. I still had a bad feeling about it and got dressed as fast as Clark Kent when he puts his Superman uniform. With the stress of the situation I almost forgot that Joanna was handcuffed and had no way to get dressed. Get the key from the drawer, she said. I opened her dresser drawer but there was no key. The key has to be in the drawer. I always keep it in the drawer, she said. But there was no trace of the key. Meanwhile the doorbell kept ringing. I took a deep breath and realized that there was a good chance that it was my in-laws. I went to the intercom as we lived on the 3rd floor and asked, "Who is it?" Through the intercom I heard a voice I recognized as my mother-in-law's. I think I said to the lady, "You are early, dear mother-in-law." Her reply, "We came early to help with lunch." To which I reply, "So sweet. Just a minute, we are here with a little problem." I immediately ran to the bedroom. "It's your parents," I say to Joanna. She says, "Please put some sweatpants on me, I'm getting cold." With some skill from me and some waist play from her, the pants went in. I took another deep breath and asked Joanna, "Didn't you keep the key in my dresser drawer?" We each had a dresser. Her indecision about the question gave me hope and I quickly went to open my dresser drawer. I opened the drawer and there it was. I felt like I had found the key to the Garden of Eden. I freed Joanna's hands and while she put on a t-shirt I went to the intercom to open the door for her parents who were waiting at the entrance of the building. We made an effort to pull ourselves together and disguise as much as possible the agitation of those last minutes. After they entered the apartment, my father-in-law looked at us and said, "Good morning. I hope we didn't interrupt anything." Then my mother-in-law smiled and said, "Don't be impertinent. Maybe they were just playing cops and robbers." Joanna and I were stunned, looking at each other wondering how they could know. Looking at the mirror in the living room, I had my answer. It turns out that in my haste to uncuff Joanna and my eagerness to open the door to my in-laws, I kept the handcuffs in my pocket. Don't ask me how, but for some reason they were hanging from the belt of my pants, being visible to anyone who looked at me. For a few moments I only want hiding in a bunker and staying there until the year 2030. Both lunch and the rest of that family reunion were dominated by embarrassment. And in the evening, just before leaving the apartment, my father-in-law patted me on the back and whispered, "See you tomorrow, officer." It's been a while since this happened, but the truth is that whenever we are with her parents there is an uneasiness in the air. And all because on that Sunday in May I was unable to hide the handcuffs. As much as I try to be positive, that Sunday in May I screwed up. Too long did not read. Inviting my in-laws for lunch. Being surprised by their arrival. Having the cold blood to solve an embarrassing situation. And when everything seemed resolved, managing to ruin everything. Note: the translation was made from Portuguese to English and I apologize for any translation errors. Thanks for reading. Your father-in-law calling you officer shows they have a great sense of humor. You will be fine. Next time you see them I expect nothing less than mirrored sunglasses and a police hat. Wear those on your belt every time you see them. Carry them everywhere you go. You're the handcuff guy now. I honestly should have thought your in-laws not to come early. When my parents were that early I literally didn't answer the door until I was ready. They came early, you didn't get the chance. Family movie night. Watch Super Troopers. Today I fucked up by falling too hard for a girl. This is probably gonna sound dumb, and if there is a better place to make this post let me know. I just wanted to get this off my chest and see if anyone had some advice. A couple months ago I met this amazing girl due to a college program and we hit it off. We became great friends and in all honesty she was my type, but I thought nothing would ever happen between us, so I thought we could just hang out and chill. Over time I feel like I kept falling harder and harder, but I kept trying to convince myself to get over it. Until about a month ago when I blurted it out that I had feelings for her, and the worst part is that she didn't really reject me. She admitted she was kinda into me as well, but she wasn't in the mindset of dating RN, so I tried to play it cool. We started hanging out more and I realized we kinda started to act like a couple. During all this there are a ton of guys just throwing themselves at her. When I say this girl is the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen, I am making the understatement of the year. Drama kept piling up with all the guys trying to shoot their shot and she got kinda overwhelmed. This all comes to a head today. She told me we needed to talk and instantly I knew it wasn't gonna be a great ending. She explained how she wasn't ready for a relationship but ended it in saying she'd maybe think about it in the future. Now I'm scared of losing my best friend. I wish I'd never fallen for her. I wish I could stop thinking about her this way. Sometimes I wish she said there was never gonna be a chance so I'd at least not be thinking about the fact that maybe someday we will end up together. This girl has everything I'm looking for and I thought I had everything she wanted, but I guess only time will tell. Sorry for any spelling errors, English isn't my first language and I am on mobile. Too long did not read. I got too emotionally invested in a girl and now I'm scared of losing the friendship. My dude, kinda into you but not in the mindset of dating. Just means she likes having all the benefits of a boyfriend from you with none of the commitment so she can be open to better options, girls playing you. She isn't your friend. You played your card and it didn't work out. Been there. You need to move on and only come back to her after you clear your mind and find fulfillment in other things. It's just going to be awkward if you continue to hang out with her now. The gym welcomes you brother sounds like she kinda give of some hope that you could be together in the future. Just keeping you on the side when she has been hurt or wants to settle, not really great behavior. Just move on. Turns out, a lot of people have experienced very similar situations. Don't hate yourself for having a heart. Save that heart for someone who's ready to accept all of it. You'll know when you know. Hate shit like this. The easiest fix here is to say you want a relationship with her and you are available now. Say that you don't want to be led on the way she leads you. She either wants you or she doesn't. It either becomes a relationship or it doesn't. If she shoots you down, Say you can't carry on with it as it is and walk away. Buy a pizza and curl up at home for a week. Not worth any more hassle. If she wanted you as a boyfriend, she'd have you as a boyfriend. Today I fucked up by getting blackout drunk on a first date. Edit. Thanks for the replies, and the laughs, so I feel I need to elaborate. I didn't actually expose myself, I just unzipped and asked her to reach in, which is still fucking terrible. Edit 2. Update. So in the end it appears it was beyond salvaging. It was more seeing me shit-faced drunk rather than the cock-grabbing that did it for her though. But you live and you learn, and I definitely won't be drinking on a first date again. And for the people saying I could have been drugged. It's a possibility, but needles scare me, so I won't be getting tested. I'd rather just put it down to the shots and stay the fuck away from them. Thanks guys. Scissor. So firstly I need to say this is completely out of character for me. Like I actually couldn't believe my ears when she told me what I did. So I met a girl on Tinder, and after a week chatting, we decided to meet at the weekend. There was an instant attraction on both sides, and it was the perfect date up until the shots took over. Lots of kissing, touching and flirting. That's the point where my memory of the night stops. Fast forward to the next morning and I wake up in bed alone thinking what the hell happened. I messaged her, and apparently at some point in the night when we were kissing, I unzipped my pants and asked her to see what my cock feels like in her hand, like I'm genuinely mortified in myself. I've never done anything like that in my life. I was just expecting her to say that I said some cringy shit to her and we could laugh it off. Unbelievably, she is still speaking to me, but says I've got a lot of work to do to redeem myself, but she will give me another chance. Her replies are a lot shorter and a bit colder. Have I fucked it with her for life, or is there anything I can do to prove to her I'm not a total sex pest? Too long did not read. Met a girl for a first date. Got blackout drunk and asked her to grab my cock in the middle of a club. What has 112 teeth and holds back a monster? The zip on my trousers. This is the equivalent of jumping off your roof blindfolded and landing in a pile of leaves. Consider yourself incredibly lucky she is still talking to you, and never do something that dumb again. I woke up naked, next to my now husband, the morning after our third date. Apparently we had sex until 4 a.m. I have zero memory of the night, but here we are 17 years later. Wow. That sounds like a wild first date. It's great that she's still willing to give you another chance. Just remember to take it easy on the shots next time. Were you drugged? Do you normally black out?